Hello everyone and welcome to another F1 LSA League of South Africa video. This time we're racing around COTA for round 8 of the season, and as you can see I'm in the Haas. So this right here is my qualifying. As you can see it's raining, so it's intermediate conditions. I haven't driven in the rain much before on this game, so it was a new experience for me. I was making quite a lot of mistakes, trying to figure out the car, trying to figure out what the pace was and how much grip there was. Thankfully, it was only a wet qualifying. The race was looking to be bone dry. So it was just a matter of trying to survive this qualifying session and hopefully put together a good enough lap time to be in the top 10. So what you're seeing now is my first flying lap being done in this session. I put a couple of laps of fuel into the tank, went out and started to do multiple flying laps in succession. Unfortunately, I got a bit too wide there, crossed the white line and invalidated that lap time. However, it wasn't looking to be that good anyway, and I was planning on doing multiple laps anyway, so it wasn't a huge issue. Unfortunately, I did invalidate the next lap that I was on, so I had to wait an entire extra lap before I could attempt a second flying lap. So take 2 at wet qualifying, and I was able to set a purple sector 1, which is good news. Unfortunately, throughout the rest of the lap I wasn't able to find the same speed, although I was able to improve. It was only good enough to get me up into P5. So now I've put new intermediate tyres on the car, put a few more laps of fuel in again, and I'm now going out to do my final 2 flying laps of the session. And at this point I was starting to get a little bit more comfortable with the car and with the conditions. One thing you may have noticed with my steering wheel so far is that I'm really shaking it around a lot, and that's because I'm trying to feel for the grip. And at this point I wasn't quite exactly understanding the weight wear the driving, so you will see me just sort of being very jittery with the steering wheel. It's not that it's quicker, it's just I was trying to understand where the grip was and what the car was doing.
We've only got 2 laps of fuel left.
Thankfully I was able to nail the final 2 turns and post a very good lap time, putting me up into the top 3. However, people's lap times were starting to improve quite a bit, especially in their final runs, so I knew coming into my final lap that I had to improve quite a bit. And already out of turn 1 I was 3/10 up, so I was hoping to be able to hold that advantage all the way through to the end of the lap. Unfortunately, I made a mistake in the penultimate turn, ended up turning in too late and missed the apex, which put me wide, got a moment of oversteer. So unfortunately, I was only able to improve by slightly over a tenth, which didn't gain me any positions, and as such, I was going to start the Grand Prix in 9th position. And because I was starting in the middle of the pack, I decided to go for an alternative strategy of a 2-stop. The hard tires very much look to be the strongest tire around here, with the mediums losing a lot of pace after just a few laps.
Safety car. No overtaking. Reduce your pace. Keep your delta number positive.
Yes, you saw that correct. Before you even got to the first turn, there was a safety car called out. So you're looking at it again, this time from my perspective in the replay. So behind Spikes in the Ferrari gets a really good launch, pulls up alongside the Aston Martin of Japes, has to jink to the left to avoid his teammate, which then pushes Japes into the Sauber of Spinnakup, which then carries Spinnakup all the way into the wall for an instant retirement. At this point, because of the safety car, I've now converted to a 1-stop. I'm planning to pit around lap 13 to go from the mediums onto the hard tyres. However, France in the Aston Martin in front clearly commits to doing a 2-stop by pitting for the hard tyres. So now going into the safety car on lap 3 of the race. I now find myself in 4th place, just behind Skilly in the Alpine. And we are fighting for a podium here, although I do have half an eye looking back at France, because I do know he will definitely be a threat for the podium. The hard tyres, again, are just immensely superior to the medium tyres at this track. So even though he has made a strategy blunder, it isn't going to hurt him that much when it comes to the podium fight. So there we go, the race is now underway. Big T in front has released the field. Unfortunately, in these first couple of laps, I wasn't 100% confident, so I was holding back a bit more than I should have been, making a few more mistakes, and overall just not committing enough to each corner. So we actually get a really good run on Skinny out of the hairpin, down the back straight. Unfortunately, into the braking zone, I just wasn't confident enough. And as such, I backed out of what would have been a relatively easy move to make. So now I have to spend an entire extra lap stuck behind Skilly, which is really going to hurt me. I didn't need this. I know I'm faster than him at this point. I just need to get in front.
Okay, the stewards have now enabled DRS. DRS is now online. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
So I end up getting another good run out of the hairpin, and this time I've got DRS, and Skinny just moves over to the side to let me past. He's not going to try and fight this. Unfortunately, I end up braking a bit too late into the next corner, losing momentum, and then into the very next turn, this right-hander, I nearly spin getting on the throttle. So at this point I was just trying to get my head down and stop making these mistakes and start posting in the lap times. But unfortunately, COTA is a very tricky track. It's very technical, and I think a lot of us were struggling with it. So it did take me a few laps to start putting together some decent, consistent laps.
Okay, we're boxing this lap. Give us the best in lap you can.
So now at this point, I'm under pressure from James and the Mercedes behind. However, I think due to the setup I was running and the wing lever I was running, I was able to get a really good exit out of this hairpin every single time. And as such, James just wasn't really able to get close enough to go for any sort of move. So although he was there and putting pressure on me, this position was never really under threat of being lost. At this point, I finally sorted out the final two turns, and as I started to be a lot more consistent and began to pull out a gap to Gems. However, I was still having some difficulties. For example, on lap 11 I had this oversteer moment, but otherwise things were still looking good for the one stop. So now going into the beginning of lap 13, Gems behind is now pitting for the hard tyres. I didn't want to be undercut, so I decided to push hard on this lap and then pit.
effects of some tyre wear soon, so stay on your toes. Up to speed now, let's get some heat into those tyres.
Thankfully, I didn't lose that much time by pitting a lap later than James, and I was able to come out of the pits still quite a ways ahead of him. Now at the end of lap 16, France in front pits to go from his hard tyres onto another set of hard tyres. I will end up gaining a 4-second lead over him. However, he has much fresher hard tyres than I have, although I am still planning on making it to the end on this set of tyres. And at the beginning of lap 19, Malima Jonas has now pitted. He was doing an alternative strategy of a hard to medium one-stop strategy, and I end up even undercutting him. However, he will be on my tail almost immediately.
Tyre condition still looking good.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to hold France behind. He just got too good of an exit, and I think he was also running low wings. And as such, I just couldn't do too much to hold him behind. I decided to let him go through for now. Unfortunately, I almost immediately made a couple of mistakes in the next few turns. France did have a 6-second penalty, and I was aware of this. I was just starting to fall out of my rhythm, and COTA is very much a rhythm track. If you fall out of your rhythm, it's very difficult to keep the car on the road. So after that, not much happened. I wasn't able to stay within 6 seconds of France. But thankfully, I also didn't get any more track limit warnings, just the one that happened in the beginning of the race. So for me, this was actually quite a good race. I didn't get any penalties. I think every single race in the past, I have got some sort of penalty for track limit warnings and excursions. And if you look to the gap behind, you can see we've very much got 4th place secured. So although it was a bit of a lonely race, it was a solid race. The pace was decently good, just not quite enough to beat France or Milima Jonas, but definitely strong enough to be able to secure P4 without much competition. And these are my thoughts after crossing the finish line. Whoa, that race was mental. I'm just so glad I didn't get any penalties. I think that's the first time I've done that. That's before the finish line score. Oh dear. How many positions he's going to lose because of that? Just the one? Yeah. Lucky for him. Oh man, looks like everyone had penalties. Oh dear. Has he got a puncture? Yeah, he's on the soft tires. He must have a puncture. Oh my goodness, that's horrible. He's got 40 seconds to make it to the finish line. Can he make it? Oh, he's backwards again. Oh dear. Yeah. One stage he was up in 5th. Well, congratulations to Tian Brutus, Big T. He was on fire today. Driver of the day, spikes. Hey, I was the cleanest driver, look at that. I do make sure I wash with plenty of soap. 15-second penalty for gems. Yuck. Thank goodness you're not racing at Qatar.